Hey guys, Coach Castle here, and today we're going to be looking at another very ineffective exercise that everyone does. You would know it as the T-bar row, or really any kind of rowing movement, be it cable, barbell, dumbbell, single arm, machine, etc. However, for this video, I will only be breaking down the T-bar row shown here. Now, the T-bar row does not actually train your back muscles effectively at all. The only muscle groups it does actually train sort of effectively are your rear deltoids. Now, as you can tell from the machine, it is hinged at the base. Therefore, the resistance or the line of force will not be in a straight line as it would be if it was a dumbbell. It will create a slight arc due to the hinge. And this is why when most people perform the T-bar row, you'll see them bend their knees and slightly arch their back. Now, there is a rule in physics called the line of force or the line of resistance, which I've already mentioned. And in most cases, it would simply go parallel with gravity. But again, due to the slight arc created here, the line of resistance is not quite parallel with gravity, although it is close. If you look at the arrows here, you'll see it is simply slightly arced. Now, there are many problems with this exercise. It's a very ineffective movement. One of the main problems is momentum. So as you all know, anytime you add momentum to an exercise, you lower the efficiency of the exercise and increase the risk of damage. Lowering the efficiency in this case would mean you're simply not stimulating muscle growth because you're not actually training all types of your muscle fibers. And in this case, you're really just taking the load off the fibers by using momentum to do everything. Now, furthermore, as the T-bar row is a bilateral movement, it's severely compromised. Bilateral training will always be a compromised form of training. Now, this is due to the neurology involved. I won't get too into detail about it. However, suffice to say, it is always better to perform your movements unilaterally or with one single source of resistance for each muscle group, as opposed to a barbell, which is a fixed point for both of your hands to hold together, thus making it bilateral. Now, back to the arrows overlapping the image, you can clearly see which muscle group is positioned directly opposite the resistance. The muscle that is opposite position loaded in this case will not be your traps, specifically because your traps do not connect to your arms in any place in your body. They only connect to your shoulder blades or your scapula, and the only way to actively engage your traps is to move your scapula inwards with a source of resistance originating opposite of the muscle itself with the muscle fibers. However, if you look at which muscle group is actually opposite position loaded, you will see it to be the rear delts. Now, we've established that the muscle group opposite position loaded the most would be your rear deltoids, not your back. So how is it possible that people with such small rear deltoids are able to move so much weight while performing the T-bar row? Well, the reason they're actually able to move so much load is the momentum. If you watch somebody performing the T-bar row, you'll notice that they begin the movement by pushing their legs through the platform. This will be engaging your quads, a large muscle group which is very strong, I might add. Followed then by your glutes and your erector spinae, and then following an isometric contraction in your erector spinae, as well as a shrugging movement with your shoulders, and then finally, your rear deltoids take over for a brief half moment in time when the speed of velocity has already been increased to the point where the bar will be shooting upwards. So, in other words, you will notice people using the momentum to get the weight up as fast and as high as they can with their back and legs, and then immediately dropping their torso to meet the bar. Needless to say, this is ego lifting at its finest and ignorance at its worst form. You will also have noticed people immediately dropping the weight without even trying to consider the eccentric portion or the lowering of the weight, which is where the vast majority of the muscle damage actually occurs. Now, the reason for this is because at this point, the rear deltoid has now taken over, as well as the erector spinae, both of which are very small and weak, and they simply cannot handle the load that you're trying to ego lift at a disadvantaged position, basically. Therefore, you will see people wildly swinging it up and down with almost no range of motion, at the very most 70 degrees range of motion with their arms, primarily using their legs and momentum to drive the movement to completion. So again, this is an extremely ineffective movement for the building of your back muscles, as again, the only way you'll be able to target your back directly is with very specific movements. If you're trying to build your rear deltoids even, again, not a good movement because it is bilateral, single source of resistance, poor range of motion, as well as you're cutting your lever in half by only using the upper portion of the lever and all of the momentum as well. So needless to say, terrible exercise. I hope this clears up some of the stuff, you guys. The exercises you would want to be performing specifically if you're trying to grow your traps would be a shrug for the upper portion, a scapular retraction for the middle and lower portion. For your lats, it would be a 30-30 lateral pull, and for your erector spinae, it would be a back curl. For your rear deltoids, it would be a rear deltoid pull, however performed correctly. Now, if you're not sure what those movements look like, I have many videos illustrating how to perform them in various situations and scenarios. So I hope this helps, guys. Everybody, have a great day.